Hello there, I'm artist Aaron Rutten, and in this episode of my digital artist vlog, I'm going to talk a little bit about selling art on Etsy. So what is Etsy? Etsy is a website where artists can sell handmade art, crafts, and prints. Now, it's a little hard to stand out on Etsy because there's so many people selling, so you really have to self-promote your store, and you have to have some inventory, of course. Here's my store, which is under Aaron Rutten Art on Etsy, and I have some digital art and I have traditional art. I have a mixture of both, in some cases where I've done a digital painting and then I've painted over it with acrylic gel medium, like in this piece here. Now basically the way this works is you can make a listing for each piece of artwork, and the listing fee is 20 cents per listing. The listing lasts 4 months, and the item for sale can be edited at any time, or you can swap it for a different item. So for instance, I could change the price on this, I could change the amount for shipping, I could add new pictures, or if I didn't want to sell this piece anymore but I still wanted to keep the listing active, I could just trade it for an entirely different painting. So I'm going to jump over to my stats here, and this is my all-time stats. Now, I haven't had many sales on Etsy, but I also don't put a whole lot of effort into promoting it, and I know that people who do make a lot more than I do. I also don't have a very large inventory. So the money that I have made on Etsy has at least been enough to pay for many listings. I mean, I made $59 off of a sale, so if you divide that into 20 cents, that's quite a few listings. I've also sold some artwork offline, which means that people looked at it on Etsy but ultimately emailed me, and I made a payment plan with them and sold it to them in person. So I didn't actually sell it through Etsy, but they bought it because they saw it on Etsy. And that was quite a bit more than what I've made here in my revenue. So basically the way I look at this is I might not make a ton of money off of Etsy, but if I make enough money off of a sale now and then to keep listing, that listing is going to get me views. And I've gotten quite a few views here. I've also gotten a lot of favorites. And that means that my work is getting out there, and it's getting out there to a specific group of people who are actually looking for art. It's not just going to like random people like it would if I was paying for advertising on something like Google. So it's definitely worth it. I mean, 20 cents to list something for 4 months is a pretty good deal. And really the main reason why I like this and what makes it pay for itself is that I can embed Etsy into my website. And when I was trying to sell art on my website, every time I'd change something, I'd have to go in and change each of these things, and it was just a huge pain. Now I just go on Etsy, and if I want to change the price of a particular item, I just change it right here. And since this is a widget, it'll automatically update on my website. So let's take a look at how to get set up on Etsy. Of course, you need to set up your Etsy account. And when you start uploading products, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you have good photos of your artwork. Now, these photos need to be well lit. They need to be in focus, and they need to be high resolution photos so that if people want to zoom into them, they can. And you can see if I zoom into this, it's very clear what you'd be getting if you were to buy this piece. I've also made sure to put this in context because I'm showing the paint here and the pencil to give a sense of how big this canvas actually is, because you want people to have a sense of what the piece is going to look like in real life. I also have a couple of images that are cropped a little closer and some that show the detail of the paint. Here's another example of a really small piece. I made sure to include my hand in the shot. That way you can see how big the piece actually is, so people don't think they're getting a giant painting and then they get this little thing and they're all upset about that. Here's a really big piece. This is, I think, 3 by 4 feet wide. So I made sure to put my hand up next to it so that you can see how large it is. So scale is very important, context is very important, and making sure that your lighting is good is very important. So the trick to getting good photos is, first of all, you need to have really good lighting. So it needs to be really bright, really nice, even lighting. You don't really have to have studio lighting as long as you can move some indoor lights around your artwork, or maybe shoot it in daylight or something like that. You don't want too much light to where there's too much glare, but you don't want not enough light to where you get shadows or anything weird. And it's best to have your camera on a tripod. That way there isn't any shaking that'll blur your image. And if you can, set the timer on your camera. That way you're not touching the button and making the camera shake. Then you'll get a really nice, crisp picture. And if you do need to do any editing, you can do that in Photoshop. I have a Photoshop tutorial you can watch about correcting perspective, and also one about correcting lighting that could be really helpful. The next most important thing about your listing is that you have a good description. Now you want this description to describe exactly what the person's going to get, but you also want to make it kind of appealing and let them know what you think about it if it has a particular story behind it. You want to let them know the details like the size and the media used and whether or not it comes with a frame or any other important details. But while you're doing that, you also want to optimize this for being found in searches, because you can be found in searches on Etsy and you can be found on Google. So these words that are in your listing, these are going to be your keywords and your description. So for instance, if somebody was looking for acrylic paintings, that's here. If someone's looking for a green apple, that's here. So this is going to come up in a search. And if I had any other kind of keywords that I wanted to make sure were searchable, I'd want to go and add them in here. But you don't want to make this too long, because then people probably aren't going to read it all. And then next you have to set your shipping and your policies. Now you can just make a particular cost if you want to. You can say, okay, I know it's going to be $5 or $10 to ship this, and you want to make sure that it's not going to cost you more than that, because then you're losing money. Or you can do these automatically calculated shipping costs where you can enter the weight and the dimensions of the piece, and it'll automatically calculate that. And I've done that here. You can see that if I ship to the United States, it'll be right around $4.12. If I ship to Germany, it'll be $16.75. So this gives you an idea of what it's going to cost you to ship. Now, as I mentioned before, you can sell prints, you can sell originals, and you can sell digital content. So I have this listing here. If you want to get 100 digital paintings to display on your HD TV or any other device with a screen, you can download this and you'll get a digital file that lets you download all of these images. You can also take commissions. If you want to commission portraits or any other kind of artwork for somebody. You can also accept custom orders. If somebody likes this apple and they say, hey, I like that apple, but could you make it red instead of green? You know, I could have a listing for that and say, well, here you go. This is that particular apple. If you pay this much, you can get it in red. It's really, really easy to share an Etsy listing. For instance, I can go down here to the bottom and I can share this on Tumblr or Pinterest or Facebook, or I can tweet it. Let's go ahead and tweet it right here. So I typed a little description of what this is, and I added a coupon code to give people incentive to click on the link, and then I'm going to tweet this. And just like I embedded my Etsy store on my website, I also have my Twitter feed embedded as well as a widget, and you can see automatically this got posted to the front page of my website. So let's take a look at how to make those coupon codes. You can go to Promote under the Your Shop link, and you can go to Coupon Codes. And I'm not going to let you see all these coupon codes because some of them are top secret, but you can add a coupon code here. You can go to Create New Coupon and you can add a name for it. You can select free shipping, a percentage discount, or a fixed discount. And this is really good incentive for people to buy your artwork if they're going to save a little bit of money. So there you go. That's selling on Etsy from my point of view. I'm not a super Etsy seller by any means, but I hope that in the future I'll put a little more work into it and maybe I'll get some more sales out of it. I do believe it's probably because a lot of what I have is kind of on the expensive side. And if I were to offer some things that were maybe like $1 or $5, then I would get a lot of sales. The problem is I don't want to spend all day shipping things that are $1 and $5 just to make 50 cents and, you know, $3 here and there, because I'd be spending all my time doing that. And that's not really how I want to spend my time as an artist. So I'm kind of hoping that although my stuff is kind of on the expensive side, occasionally I'll get one big sale and that will equal 100 or 1,000 smaller sales. If you have your own Etsy store, feel free to comment on this video and share the link to your store and let me know what your experiences have been like selling on Etsy. If you like this video and you appreciate all the tutorials and free videos that I release, you can help me do what I do better by going over to patreon.com/Aaron Rutten and making a monthly donation of $1, $5, $10, $20, whatever you want. But any donation, big or small, helps me to have a better production budget to make better videos and to travel to go paint outside and buy better audio and video equipment, which provides a lot of value for you because then you get to watch better videos and you get to watch my videos more often. Any support is much appreciated. Again, that's patreon.com/Aaron Rutten.